Okay, so today we're diving into something super practical,
Okay.
really getting down to what makes a really effective HRS manager.
Right.
And we've got this really interesting set of interview questions
Uh-huh.
that are recommended by experts for this, pretty important role.
Yeah.
And we're going to kind of take those apart and see if we can
Yes.
figure out what those questions are telling us about what it takes to be great at this job.
Love it.
So think of this as your insider guide to the HRIS manager role.
Oh.
Whether you're thinking about going into that kind of field, or
Right.
maybe you work with someone who's an HRIS manager,
Right.
or even if you're just kind of curious about the whole tech side of HR.
Totally.
We're going to unpack all of the essential skills and responsibilities so
Yeah.
you really have a clear idea of what this job is all about.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant way to do it.
Yeah.
By looking at the questions that are designed to find the best talent.
Right.
We're basically uncovering the blueprint for what makes a successful HRIS manager. It's not just about the day-to-day stuff,
Right.
but it's about the deeper abilities and that strategic mindset
Yeah.
that you need to really excel in this field.
Yeah, so let's get right to it.
Right.
So what exactly is an HRIS manager?
Right.
I mean, the name itself sounds kind of specialized.
Yeah, so at its heart, an HRS manager is the person who's really in charge of an organization's human resource information systems.
Okay.
You can kind of think of these systems like the central nervous system of all the HR functions.
Okay.
They handle everything, from payroll and employee records to benefits and talent management.
Got it.
And the HRIS manager is responsible for the entire life cycle of these systems.
Okay.
From, setting them up and implementing them
Yeah.
to keeping them
Next to each other and just
precisely.
Yeah.
And the material we're looking at today, it really emphasizes some super important responsibilities.
Yeah.
So they're the ones who make sure these HR systems are robust and secure, which is obviously really important when you're dealing with all that sensitive employee data.
Right.
They also manage those system upgrades, which can be pretty complex.
I bet.
And they troubleshoot any technical issues that come up.
Okay.
And they're also crucial in making sure that the HRIS follows all the relevant data privacy regulations.
Right. So data privacy, that's a huge issue these days.
Huge.
So it sounds like it's a lot more than just keeping the software running.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It goes way beyond just the technical stuff.
Okay.
A really good HRIS manager, they also dig deep into all that HR data that these systems hold.
Okay.
They're looking for those patterns and insights that can help the organization make better decisions.
Yeah.
And, improve how employees feel about their work.
Right.
And just generally make HR operations more effective.
Okay.
They're also really key in streamlining those HR workflows.
Yeah.
Finding ways to automate those routine tasks so that the HR professionals can focus on the more strategic stuff.
Right. So it's this really interesting combo of tech expertise,
Yeah.
but also that big picture thinking,
Totally.
which makes perfect sense in today's data-driven world.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's get into these interview questions.
Right.
What are some of the skills and experiences that they're really trying to dig into?
Yeah, these questions, they're really good at zeroing in on what matters in this role.
Okay.
So take this one. Can you describe your experience with implementing a new HRS system?
Okay.
Right away, that tells you that hands-on experience with those system rollouts is super valuable.
Okay.
Implementing a new HRIS, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And this question helps them understand if the candidate has actually gone through that before.
Right. So it's not just knowing the theory.
Exactly.
It's about having been in the trenches.
Yeah, have you done this?
Exactly.
Okay, what about this next one?
Okay.
How do you ensure data security and compliance within an HRIS?
Okay.
That one really highlights the importance of data protection, as we've talked about. It's not just a nice to have, it's essential.
Right.
A strong answer is going to show they really understand the regulations and the steps they've taken to protect sensitive information.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the challenges someone in this role might face?
That was a good question.
In ensuring that security,
Yeah, I think it's a constant battle against those evolving threats.
Right.
And also, you need to make sure it's secure, but people can still use it.
Right. It's got to be usable.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's another question. What methods have you used in the past to train staff on using a new HRS system effectively?
Right.
So this is kind of shifting the focus
Yes, this is critical.
to a different but still super important area.
Absolutely, because you could have the most amazing HRIS,
Right.
but if no one knows how to use it,
Totally useless.
it's pointless.
Yeah.
This question shows how important training and change management skills are.
Okay.
A successful HRIS manager needs to be able to communicate clearly,
Right.
train employees across the entire organization,
Yeah.
make sure everyone is on board with the new system and they're using it right.
It's about getting buy-in
Yeah,
and making sure that investment in the system actually pays off.
exactly.
Yeah, okay, so they're like part tech guru,
Right.
part communicator,
Yeah,
part educator.
a little bit of everything.
Okay.
All right, let's look at another one. Can you give an example of how you've used HRIS data to solve a business problem?
Okay.
This one really digs into that analytical and strategic side of the role.
Yeah.
It's not just about managing the data.
Right.
It's about showing how you can use that data to make things better for the business.
Yeah. What kind of business problems do you think HRIS data might be good at solving?
That's a good one.
Like as an example.
Yeah, I mean, things like understanding why employees are leaving
Okay.
or finding those skills gaps within the organization.
Yeah.
Or even like measuring how effective your HR programs are.
So turning raw data into insights that you can actually use.
Exactly. And then there's this one. How do you stay updated with the latest trends and updates in HR technology?
Okay.
HR tech moves so fast.
Right.
A good HRIS manager has to be proactive about keeping their knowledge and skills current.
What are some of the downsides if they don't stay updated?
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
They could miss out on tools that could make things more efficient.
Okay.
Their systems could become outdated and vulnerable.
Right.
Or they might not even be using all the latest features.
Right. They're not using it to its full potential.
Exactly.
Okay. What has been your most challenging HRIS project and how did you manage it?
Ooh, that's a good one.
This feels like it's really meant to test their ability.
Oh, yeah. This one probes their problem-solving skills
Right.
and how resilient they are under pressure.
When things go wrong.
Exactly. Like, how do they react when things don't go to plan?
Yeah.
What's their process for tackling those tough problems?
Yeah.
Their answer can tell you a lot about what they're capable of
Okay.
and how they handle those high-stakes situations.
Right. Okay. Next up. How do you prioritize and manage multiple HRIS-related tasks?
Okay, so this one is more straightforward.
Yeah.
It's about organization.
Right. In a busy HR environment, an HRIS manager is going to be juggling tons of projects and requests at the same time.
All the time.
This question is seeing how well they can stay organized,
Right.
manage their time, and make sure those critical tasks get done.
Makes sense.
Okay, this one I think gets at their strategic understanding. In your opinion, what is the most impactful feature of an HRIS on HR operations?
I like that one. It forces them to think beyond just listing features.
Yeah.
Really consider what an HRS is all about.
Yeah.
What makes a real difference to how HR works.
Okay.
Their answer can show how deeply they understand HR processes and how technology can best support them.
Right. And then we have you had experience integrating other software tools within HRIS? If so, can you explain the process and outcome?
Okay, yeah, because these systems are all connected.
Right, they don't just exist in a vacuum. So this question is looking at their experience with these integrations
Yeah.
and how well they understand how data flows between different systems.
Right. It's about making sure all the tech works together seamlessly.
Right. And then the final question we have here is how do you handle user feedback and requests for system modifications or upgrades?
Right. We're back to the human element.
Yeah.
The HRIS manager isn't just there for the HR department.
Right.
They're there for the whole organization.
Everyone who's using the system.
Listen, okay.
So this question explores how they get feedback.
Yeah.
How they prioritize requests for changes.
Yeah.
And how they manage those system updates in a way that keeps the users happy and improves that overall satisfaction.
Exactly.
Okay, so when we look at all these questions together,
Yeah.
we really get this picture of a role that needs a lot of different skills.
It does.
Technical expertise, strategic thinking, problem-solving abilities,
Yeah.
strong communication and training skills, and just this constant desire to learn and improve.
Totally.
Now, the source material also talks about why these kinds of questions are so important when you're hiring someone.
Oh, yeah. They're not just random questions.
Right.
There's a lot of thought that goes into crafting them.
Okay.
First, it's about figuring out if they have the core competencies
Okay.
by focusing on specific experiences and situations.
Yeah.
These questions can really pinpoint whether someone has the skills and expertise to manage an HRIS.
It's a much more precise way to evaluate someone.
Exactly.
Right. So it's not just asking general HR questions.
Right.
It's really about the specifics of HR technology management.
Yes. And the second thing is the hiring process, even with all these technical questions. It's also designed to see if the person would be a good fit for the company culture.
Okay.
None of the questions directly ask about company culture, But the way someone answers how they communicate,
Yeah.
their approach to problem solving,
Yeah.
all of that can give you clues about how well they'd fit in with the team and the overall culture.
It's not just about the skills.
Exactly.
They have to be able to work well with other people.
Absolutely.
And the third thing is having this well-defined set of interview questions makes a whole hiring process more efficient.
Streamlined.
Yeah. By focusing on the most critical skills and experiences,
Yeah.
companies can do a better job of evaluating candidates and ultimately make better hiring decisions.
Right. It saves time and resources
Yeah.
because you're focusing on what really matters for that role.
It's about being intentional.
Yeah.
And making sure you're not just filling a position.
Right.
You're finding someone who's going to be great at it.
Exactly.
The source also mentions an HRIS manager candidate scorecard.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the point of using something like that?
It gives you a structured way to evaluate candidates consistently
Oh.
across a bunch of different areas.
Okay.
The example we looked at includes things like their education,
Right.
their work experience, especially in relevant HRIS roles,
Okay.
their qualifications and technical experience,
Yeah.
how well they solve problems based on their answers,
Yeah.
their communication skills,
Okay.
how well they might fit into the company culture,
Yeah.
and something called directional fit,
Okay.
which means does this role make sense for their career path?
Okay, so it's taking all those factors into account.
Yeah, using a scorecard helps you be more objective and fair.
It's a way to bring objectivity to something that can be kind of subjective.
Exactly.
Yeah, and make sure you're comparing candidates on the same criteria.
Yes, it helps reduce bias
Right.
and ensures everyone is evaluated against the same standards,
Yeah.
which leads to a better hiring decision.
Okay, so to sum it all up,
Yeah.
this deep dive into these interview questions
Mm-hmm.
really highlights how crucial this HRS manager role is.
It is.
It's where HR and technology meet.
Totally.
And it requires not just technical skills,
Right.
but a deep understanding of HR processes,
Uh-huh.
the ability to use data for insights,
Yeah,
a commitment to data security and compliance,
for sure.
and the ability to communicate well and train all sorts of different users.
That's the key.
Yeah, the interview questions we talked about are designed to find people with that blend of skills.
It's a special combination.
Technical expertise, strategic thinking, problem solving,
Yeah.
strong communication skills,
Uh-huh.
all essential for someone managing such an important part of HR. So for those listening,
Yeah.
whether you're thinking about a career in HR tech,
Okay.
or you work with an HRIS manager,
Right.
or maybe you're just interested in how technology is changing things,
Yeah.
think about this.
Okay.
The principles we talked about for evaluating a good HRIS manager,
Uh-huh.
understanding complex systems, using data to make things better, adapting to new technology, and always keeping the end user in mind,
Right.
those are really valuable principles for all sorts of areas in life and work.
Absolutely.
So what systems are you managing in your world?
Good question.
And how well are you using the data you have to make them even better?
I like that.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.